And welcome back to Habs Unfiltered. I'm your host, Blaine Pudvey, and I'm joined by my co-host, Matt Smith.
Good afternoon.
Yes, we're recording this on Saturday afternoon, the 30th of May, and the Canadian season is done officially. So we took a few moments. We waited until the following day to let it digest a little bit, and we'll take a look at the series and we'll break down a little bit of the playoffs. So we'll just dive right into it. That Eastern Conference final fucking sucked. I did not like it. I
Neither did I.
just did not like it.
Neither did I. And you know what? It was boring hockey to watch. It really was. Like I'm a bit like
Yeah.
you know me. You've known me for years. I'm a big hockey guy. I'll watch pretty much anything. That was some boring hockey. Like you had a team that was just after game one, it just turned into just it was boring to watch. And
Yeah,
after losing consecutive overtime games, it was like barely hockey to watch after that.
they went to after the first game, Carolina switched to hardcore trap.
Yeah.
Now, they played they played the way they needed to play to
Yeah,
win,
they played their
and they
style.
did.
Yep, yep.
They trapped the Canadians to the point where they just wore them down. And to be brutally honest, it was highly effective. And Carolina's been perfecting that for the last 8 years.
Right.
So they're at a point in their development where this is what they're going to do to win. They don't care about putting on a show. And that part of it I envy because the Canadians are still young enough that they feel like they have to put on a show, that they have
Right.
to get highlight reel plays when all they need to do is simple north south hockey. They could have broken that trap, but for whatever reason, they just didn't. They lacked the experience. Maybe they were a little bit tired. Lack of adjustments. There's a lot of reasons why, but as much as people want to blame how the Canadians came into the series as a reason, Carolina did play their game plan to near
They did.
perfection.
They did.
They earned it.
They did. And if you look at you look at the teams that are now in the final, you look at the teams overall that made it to this round, everyone had their own path to get in there. You can argue that the Montreal Canadiens had a very tough path to get there, playing 14 games, playing the team that everyone thought was going to go to the Eastern Final, followed by probably the second team that everyone thought was going to go to the Eastern Final. The Buffalo
I don't think it's
Sabres.
much of an argument. Montreal
Well,
faced the fifth overall,
yeah,
fourth overall, and
yeah,
second overall teams.
right, right. But
It's tough go.
you look at the Buffalo Sabres, like they were already trying to write their own kind of fairy tale story of being this team that went from nothing to contender status, or well, they went from a nothing team really to winning the conference or winning the division. So,
Yeah.
it's not like they had an easy path to get there. Shout out to the team for the ride that they brought the fans on. Um, it's just they didn't give much show to the fans at home,
Unfortunately, that is the
unfortunately.
case. Um, well, going into these playoffs, the big talk was, hey, did Montreal learn anything from their playoff series last year against Washington?
I think so.
And some, I agree. But after the loss to Carolina, there was a lot of talk online, and I saw some pundits say it that they don't feel they did learn something. But that is utter horseshit.
Oh,
You look at
100%. Yeah.
look at how they got to the Eastern Conference Final.
Yeah.
They learned from Washington that you have to play a more physical brand. They they out hit Tampa, they out hit Buffalo. Those are two physical teams with a lot of really large bodies on it.
Yep.
And Montreal out muscled those two. maybe that's why they didn't have enough left in the tank for this series. And I think this series after that, they're going to learn that they need some size to add to their
Yes.
team because the larger players take a little bit more to wear down.
Hmm.
And they were worn down, I think, by
Yeah,
the time they got here. And Carolina took full advantage.
I agree. I agree. And it was easy to see.
Yeah.
After that first game, no points for Slavkovsky. After that first game, no points for Suzuki, et cetera, et cetera. Like the big guys weren't going. The forecheck wasn't there. The second effort wasn't there. Um, they just look like I'm not gonna say a broken team, but they look like a team that needed a break, that needed to recoup. And unfortunately, in the playoffs, well,
There's no breaks.
there's no breaks. So that's why for some
Yeah.
it was quite a shock that no changes were made to the lineup, or a guy like Gallagher would come in, or Kapanen would come in, or Jacky would come in, etc. Um, but Martin St. Louis made the calls. He coached the team how he saw fit, and again, unfortunately, the Canadiens were in games 1 through 3.
You could have easily been up 3-0.
And then after that, that was the story. You can't
Yeah.
the people look at the last two losses, the shutout and then the loss last night, and say, "Oh, well, it was a domination by Carolina. It was a domination by this. It was a domination by that." I don't feel that way. Were they outplayed? Absolutely. Were they outshot? Absolutely. Were they outchanced in every game? More than likely.
Definitely in the
But
last two, but the first three they were not.
yeah, like the Canadians still made it tough on those first 3 games, and some of these post shots that that the Canadians hit in overtime, or the offside for Caulfield, etc. You win one of those games. How would that have shifted the series? Either going up 2-0 or or being up 2-1.
Oh, it would have been a totally different look. I mean, the two overtime games that made it 2-1 for Carolina could easily have gone to Montreal. It could have been
Yeah,
a 3-0 series. Montreal had posts in overtime in both those games. There was a missed breakaway at one point. Caulfield's goal and the Caulfield's offside there, where they scored the goal in regulation. Uh, that that would have been a massive shift, but the bounces didn't quite go Montreal's way, and they were. I think it had a lot to do with the fact that they weren't up on their toes. They weren't, you know, full value for their strides. They looked their skating looked fatigued, so they were up a little bit higher. They weren't to the puck quite fast enough. They didn't have the leverage because they weren't low enough in their stance to win those board battles. Those little things all added up, and when they couldn't get those, when they didn't get those breaks in those two games, the entire series shifted.
yeah,
And then one little thing was enough to just demoralize the team. Like, say, for instance, I don't know, a goalie interference call that went against them for some reason that even TNT, ESPN, Sportsnet, with the exception of Elliot Friedman, all said,
yeah. I saw
"What
that
the
too.
hell was that?"
Yeah, they tried to downplay it quite a bit.
Yeah, yeah, a little bit.
One did, yeah,
Yeah, I mean, it was just one goal, and it was the first one.
yeah,
But to that, right up to that point in that game, Montreal had a pretty good push going,
right,
and it was toe to toe. Had they gotten that goal reversed and then gone back and maybe got the first goal of the game, we might be talking about Game 6 of Montreal,
right,
maybe. But I think that was it there.
yeah.
They were broken after that.
You know what I'll give. I like that they did challenge it, because some
Me as
people
well. Yeah.
but some people question not challenging that offside in the game previous. So he tried to do what he thought was right. A lot of fans thought it was right. It Should have been the right call, but it is what it is. And now we look forward to next season. We look forward to the draft. We look forward to free agency. We look forward to all that kind of stuff. But the team has nothing to hang their head about.
No.
This is the team that took a next step, that we see the players who stepped up, guys like Hudson. You saw the depth shine partly throughout different series. But again, we got to the end and it was just guys were worn out.
Yeah, and that brings me to people thinking that for whatever reason, the Canadiens were a fraud. And to those
Oh,
people,
definitely
I
not.
say, you're fucking idiots.
Yeah.
Because, and I think it all basically boils down to they had to win in game seven overtime after being beat pretty bad in game six at home with Buffalo,
Yep.
ignoring the fact that Montreal beat the shit out of Buffalo three times before that, and the fact that they won a game seven with only 9 shots. Forgetting the fact that the other team couldn't score because of Montreal's defense.
Yeah.
Who gives a shit how you win?
Yep.
Just fucking win.
Yep.
You're not a fraud if you beat two top five teams in the NHL in 7 game series.
Yep.
If you do that when you're the sixth overall team in the NHL, you're not
Yeah.
a fraud.
Yeah. Well, just
Now,
look at look at the upward projection of this team. You go from
yeah,
out of the playoffs, making the playoffs when everyone didn't think you were going to. Yeah, you got knocked out in the first round.
mhm.
But they came into the next year and they wanted to learn from that. And learn they did. And the You look at Nick Suzuki putting up 100 points. You look at Caulfield putting up 51 goals. Lane Hudson, 78 points in 82 games. Slavkovsky hitting 30 and over 70 points. Demidov is over 60 points. Like the writing's on the wall that this team is getting better and better. And the youngest team in the league all growing together. Yes, there's going to have to be some tweaks to the lineup. But you can look at the what they struggled at this point at this stage of the season, and Ken Hughes is a very smart man. Jeff Gordon's a very smart man. They're going to go out and they're going to do what they have to do. There's going to be changes made to this roster. There's going to be some players that just played their last game, but salary cap's going up. Reinforcements are on the way. I'll say shout out to Alexander Zborowski. He just won Rookie of the Year in the KHL.
It's back-to-back rookies of the year from the
Back to back
KHL for
Rookie of the Year
Montreal.
from the KHL. Yeah.
There's a lot to look forward to with this team, and I want to get into a little bit of other things here, but I want to finish on the whole. The Canadiens are frauds. There was a post on X by Dom Lucian calling them that, saying that I don't think I've ever seen this level of fraudulence exposed to this degree in a conference final. This, by the way, is the same guy that said that Suzuki's contract is one of the top 10 worst in the NHL. I honestly think that he just posts dumb shit to get clicks. At this
Yeah.
point, there's no actual thought involved with what they put up there. How the do you look at, yeah, the Canadiens got themselves steamrolled in the conference final, but there's reasons. How many years did Carolina spend making it to the Eastern Conference final before they actually won it?
Yeah.
And how many years did they get steamrolled? They were never frauds. Why
Right.
is it Montreal?
Yeah.
Pretty simple reason.
Yeah.
Dom lives in Toronto.
Hmm.
Seems to me like somebody's got a case of the jealousies.
Yeah. Well, would anybody say that about Colorado right now?
Apparently not. They just
Right.
got swept by Vegas.
Right.
So, that's different.
But
Somehow.
but you got the President's Trophy winning team who's a powerhouse that both those teams had their own path to get there. You would
Yep.
argue Vegas had the easier path with Utah and Anaheim.
Hmm.
Colorado had Los Angeles and Minnesota, right?
Yep.
Again, they had a team that was injured, that were injured during that series. Nobody's talking about Vegas sweeping that team and then Colorado being a fraud.
Keeping in mind too that had Vegas been in the Eastern Conference, they wouldn't have made the playoffs.
That's right.
So here's a team that wasn't good enough to make the playoffs in the Eastern Conference, sweeping the President's Trophy, yet somehow that President's Trophy team is not a fraud, but the team in the Eastern Conference, who finished sixth overall in the NHL, is a fraud. Make it make sense.
Yeah, I think you just saying the word lives in Toronto just kind of makes it happen there.
Yeah, there's a lot of haters out there. I mean,
Yeah.
I've never seen so many Senator and Leaf fans watching Habs games in my life.
Yeah. I'll tell you though, like you look at the series going into the final, this is the like of the teams that are left or the teams that could have been in the final, these are the two I did not care about at all.
I don't think many people did, except Vegas seems to be a bit of a like a pet project for the NHL.
Yeah,
Um, and don't get me wrong, they've got a good team.
they do.
They, I'm not saying they don't deserve to be in the final. They won. They
Hmm.
deserve to be in the final.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
the way it works.
yeah,
You win, you're in.
yeah.
But am I going to be watching intently? No,
No, neither am I.
no.
Neither am
And
I.
to be very clear, I'm hoping that Carolina does win because I know people down there, I know people covering the team, and those people have been excellent human beings and they deserve something good.
Yeah. The thing is, I can't stand any of the like either of those franchises. One is
Well, yeah.
just one is just how they run the organization, and that's Vegas.
The other one's
And
how they
then
run their mouths.
right, and then I cannot stand Carolina's fans. I cannot.
There's social media that
All
ruined the
right,
game.
but they're awful. They're awful. All right. So, either way, and their owner's not the greatest either, but and then obviously the history with the Canadians and the whole Kotkaniemi thing and all this kind of stuff. Um, yeah, not a fan. Not a fan. So like
No, no.
either way it is what it is. I'll probably be pulling for Vegas. Just one is the Marner factor. The fact that he leaves Toronto, ends up finding his game, ends up being, the a quiet leader in that room, and has the chance to play for a cup for the first time as soon as he leaves
How
after
many?
he was kind of I'm not gonna say fucked out of Toronto, but he was. Right? He wasn't the guy that they should have moved or moved on from, but good for him for finding a new home in Vegas and making the most of his opportunities.
I mean, how many former Leafs end up making the final
So
or winning the
many,
cup
so
the
many,
year after?
so many.
I mean, this would just be another. He Phil Kessel Toronto. If they win the cup, he's showing
Yeah,
up. He's doing a
yeah.
parade in Toronto.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
why not?
yeah.
He's from there.
He is. Yeah,
So good for them. But yeah, so back to the Canadians and their highlights in these playoffs. So the lessons learned, I think, are what are going to guide the offseason. Like we mentioned, how they were able to step up and beat Tampa and Buffalo. You mentioned the progression of their top core players, the up and comers that we'll see in a year or two. But this summer is when the Canadians need to add to this roster now because how different would that series have been had Montreal had a real second line center, not Jake
agreed.
Evans, who God bless him, he did his
He
best,
he did his
but he
best.
is a third or fourth line. He's a bottom six player.
He is. He is. He
So
is
if they had a
a
second line center instead,
he's a
what would
third
this look like?
he's a third fourth line guy. You can play him up and down the lineup. You can play him on the wing. You
Yeah.
can put him out there when you
It's
have a
important to have
lead,
guys like him.
right, etc. Oh yeah, 100%. And Deneau's the same way,
Exactly.
right?
But but
But you do need that second line center.
So how different would that series have looked had Montreal had two top
Yeah.
six lines?
Yeah. I agree. Because you saw multiple times, and I know a lot of fans talked about this. You saw Demidov out there trying to show flash or trying to make these creative plays or trying to do this. And a lot of the times he was doing it on his own because the players that he was playing with didn't match his skill set.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm not
Yeah.
saying you have to have this overly dynamic center and all this kind of stuff, but one that can actually play the role, fill the role, and excel in the role and be that supportive piece to a player that you're bringing up with this core.
Yeah. So essentially, what they need is they need a guy who can win some faceoffs at
Yep.
more than 50%.
Yep.
They need a guy who can play two-way hockey, maybe play a little bit on the penalty kill, provide a little bit of help on the second power play, who can put up some points, like say 60 points,
Yep.
and help offensively with guys like Slavkovsky, Demidov, whoever else they put on the wings.
Yep.
You're not looking for an A1 all-star superstar kind of player here.
No, they're nice to have, but
But you
yeah,
don't need that. You need a
like
steady Eddie kind of guy.
yeah,
And
steady
guys like,
guy that can play in all situations, that
yeah,
can anchor a second power play units, etc.
who fits the age of this course. So right now, if you're going to find somebody, you want somebody around 25, 26 years old. Um, but I think a guy like Nico Hischier from New Jersey
Yeah, a
would
lot
be
of
an
people
ideal
talked about
fit.
him. He's got 1 year left on his deal.
Yeah,
Yep.
he's going to want to raise, but not a huge raise. And I watched him play here in Halifax when he was in junior, and he is the exact same steady type of player.
Yep.
You know from shift to shift
You know what you're
exactly
getting.
what
You
he's
know
going
what
to
you're
provide.
getting from him. Yep.
He is a coach's dream. That's the kind of second line center that would elevate a team to contender status, and that's exactly what he would do for Montreal, I think.
Right.
And he's not against playing in Montreal, but he loves New Jersey. So if there's any issues with them signing him to an extension, I don't know what the new management in Jersey is planning on or what it looks like, but if he's not signed come July 1, hopes start to go up.
Right.
I don't know. Who else? Who else do you think?
I'm just wondering. I'm just thinking about the centers who could be available.
Well, there's not a lot of
There's not a lot out there. That's the problem.
talk. No.
There's not a lot off the
Um,
top. There's not a lot off the top of my head that I'm like, well, hell, we didn't think no Dobson was available, and then all of a sudden Montreal came in, and we're like, oh hey,
exactly.
by the way,
Exactly.
we got this guy. I know a lot of people were talking about McTavish. I
See,
think
that'd be a good name.
I
He's
I, I still I
23.
I still kind of think that's kind of sailed.
Well, has it? Because they got to re-sign guys like Cutter Gauthier and Leo Carlson. And I know the cap's going up, but they've got guys like Truba they need to re-sign, and they've got a lot
Yeah,
of guys they need to bring back if they want to continue with their playoff progression, right?
right.
So, how much money are they willing to spend? Because they had McTavish down on the third line for points in playoffs.
That's
You want
true.
7 million on a third line?
That's true.
And speaking of third lines, Vegas, Hurdle, they have him on a third line.
Yeah,
He's older, but he's a big body. He's physical. He wins faceoffs. He could play on a second line role. Like there's going to be options on the trade market. There's just zero options in free agency.
yeah,
Because
yeah.
free agency this year is going to suck.
Well, there's definitely some players available. It's just who are you gonna go out and overpay for them?
No, nobody that's left on that UFA list. Anybody watching or listening, go check it out. Check out who's available as a UFA right now, and tell me that you're willing to pay $8 million for any of them.
Yeah.
And if you
There,
do, I would get checked for drug use.
yeah, there's still someone that I keep looking at that I would love to see on this team just because he checks so many boxes, and that's O'Reilly. out of Nashville.
But
But
he's still
it's
got a
but
year left on his contract.
he's got a year left on his contract, yeah, at 4.5. But he's the veteran, can play up the lineup, can play on the power play, penalty kill, all
Sure.
situations guy that I don't I've just always been a fan of his. Always been a fan of his. And I think he would be such a good fit, but what you have to give up to pick up a guy that's going to be 36 in February, I don't really know. And I know this because he's got the same birthday as me. I'm not fangirling that much, but
I mean, depending on what they have to give up to get him,
yeah,
sure.
yeah,
It's all about cost benefit analysis.
right,
Is he worth 2 first round picks and a prospect? No,
right,
no. But if you're going to give up a contract off the NHL roster and maybe um, a couple of seconds or just a first, I mean, especially this year's first,
yeah,
sure, why not?
yeah. I know
Um,
some people were looking at Trocheck, but the chances of them making a deal with the Rangers are not just not going to happen.
no, Dolan has the owner of the Rangers ha- loves to hold grudges.
Yeah,
I mean, he is a hardcore grudge holder, and he hates Gorton because Gorton defied him when he demanded that Gorton do something that went against his morals. And when Gorton stood up to him and said, "I'm not going to be able to do that. I'm sorry,"
yeah.
he got fired
There's
for it,
there's
and
there's
that's fine.
still there's still the thought that maybe they'll go back to St. Louis, maybe talk about Thomas. That ship might
Yeah,
have sailed as well, but the talking has been happening between the teams,
I wouldn't be surprised if they kick tires on that, but at the same time, St. Louis is going to be asking for the moon.
right? You're right.
I don't I don't know if Thomas is worth the 4 first round equivalents that they're asking for. Like they're
Yeah,
asking for an Eichel-esque return.
yeah,
It's too much.
yeah.
And Hughes has never overpaid for anything yet. And I
No,
don't think that's
you're right.
something that a second line center is not something you overpay for. Not
Not to
that
that
level.
level. Yeah.
Yeah. Um yeah, I don't know, man. What else could they be getting? Like I mentioned some size. We talked about a top six center. The defense, they could use some balance on defense.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, Reinbacher is probably going to graduate next training camp, so
Hmm.
that adds another righty. He's a big kid. He brings a little bit of jam. He's not overly physical. He's not going to throw giant hits everywhere,
Don't, but
but
they're
he's got
still
that
miss,
reach.
but they're still missing, and they had it for the longest time. They had it in Sherrod, they had it in Edmonton, they had it in when they had Shea Weber as captain, they had it in David Savard. They're still missing that steady veteran that's back there,
That intimidating physical presence.
right? And I'm not saying that like Joel Edmondson was like a he played the role he had to play, as did Sherrod. I'm not saying those guys are superstar players, but they played a certain role. David Savard, again, not he had the Savardian spinorama every now and then, but other than that, like again, he wasn't the flashiest, prettiest player to be out there, but he played a solid role that the team is missing, and he did a lot for the defense that is currently on this team.
Yeah, Savard mentored these guys. I think they have a little bit of that. I mean, Jack Eye has that physicality, has that intimidation factor. He's a third pairing guy, but
Yep.
he's left-handed. If
Hmm.
he were right-handed, perfect.
Yep.
Because they've got so many lefties. Struble, another lefty who he's a jack of all trades, master of none
Yep.
kind of defenseman for that third pair, which is fine. I just think that one of them is gone this summer so that they can fill another role somewhere else,
Right.
fill a hole somewhere else. So with Reinbacher coming up, they need to find that physical intimidation somewhere. They need that. I don't know how they're going to fill it in the trade, or just maybe, I don't know, play Jack Eye more than 5 minutes a
Yeah,
game.
yeah, that'd be nice to see.
That costs a lot less in trades. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? You know
that'd
what
be
I'm
very nice.
saying?
That'd be very nice to see.
Wouldn't it?
It would be.
And they do have size on the up and coming in the system. I mean, Florian Jack is almost ready. Um, they've got a few other guys down in the farm, big, heavy guys who can play a heavy game in the bottom six, to be very clear. So maybe some top six size to go with
Yeah,
that centerman.
yeah.
All right. We'll take a quick break, and then when we come back, we'll talk a little bit more about what we think is going to happen and what we've seen and random Habs stuff and maybe a little bit more swearing. So stick around. We'll be right back. And we're back. All right. So we talked a little bit about the playoff run. I think we're okay there. We talked about some lessons learned. Now we can talk about a little bit more of what we're expecting this summer and who we think may be gone because you have to make room to bring people in.
It's
So
true.
I'll let you lead off. Who's the first one you think?
Patrick Laine.
Really? I thought for sure he'd stay.
You know what? It worked
No.
out when it did, but then when Demidov came in a full-time basis, I
Hmm.
just think that his spot just was gone. And with the early injury, I'm not trying to shit on this guy whatsoever. The guy's been through a lot, and good on him for
Yeah.
being there and everything like that. It's just it got to the point where his services were no longer needed. The injuries started to pile up, and he just wasn't okay. He played the role that they needed him to play, and without his contributions, the team wouldn't have made the playoffs last year.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. I'm not taking that away from him. He did what he had to do, and the fact that they were able to get a second round pick with him, and the only thing they had to give up was Jordan Harris, I think that was a win for the Canadiens. And it made the organization look very good.
It did. It got them a playoff spot because of what he brought. They got a
Yeah.
second round pick
But
for
even at
Harris. So
the
yeah.
even at the organizational level, on the
Yeah.
outside looking in, be like, you did this guy a solid, and now I hope that he can find a team elsewhere. It's
I
not going
think
to
he
be with
will.
it's not going to be with the Canadians, but I can see him playing elsewhere. But he would be my first that I would say has probably played his last game in Montreal.
Yeah, Hughes did him a favor. They kind of rehabbed him a bit, and it helped the Canadians in the eyes of the players. Players around the league see this and they're like, okay, they're treating the guys right.
Yeah,
They had a chance to trade him at the trade deadline, but they couldn't get him to where he wanted to go, so he just
yeah,
didn't go.
yeah,
But now he's definitely leaving.
yeah,
I don't think he's going to sign for more than like $1 million for a year
yeah, yeah.
wherever he
It'll be a
goes.
show me deal, whatever it is. The guy's
Yeah,
made his he's made a lot of money,
sure.
right?
And
Right?
he's still young.
Yep.
He can go prove himself. For him, though, I think the biggest issue with the Canadians was the fact the way he plays the game. He's not fast enough to play the give and go style, the small area games. He
Yeah.
is more of a guy that'll plod his way to a spot and just shoot. And his shot is a weapon.
Oh, it's incredible. It's incredible what he can do.
Yeah. There's going to be teams in the Western Conference that I think they're going to trip over themselves to get him
Yep. Kings.
because he'll be cheap and he can bring some goals, especially on the power play. So a team like Anaheim, when they finally make some moves, or Dallas,
Whatever team, I would say LA or San Jose.
yeah, or Seattle.
Yeah. Like even him
They
just to
they're
be a
always looking.
power play guy on one of those teams, like he would do
Yeah,
well.
exactly.
Imagine a guy like Panarin passing the puck to him, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Or Celebrini, right?
Oh
Right?
God.
So another
Yeah.
one I'll go with. I think he's played his last game. Not didn't really play much of a role at the NHL level. I liked him though, and I like what he brought. That was Sammy Blais.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
I
they
think
brought him in. He brought exactly what you'd expect.
I like him in that role of like a 13, 14 guy. I really did like that. And I thought that when he was in the lineup, he put up 5 points in the 13 games that he played, and he put up 3 points in 8 games with the Leafs. But like he did what he needed to do. Then he went down to Laval. He was over a point a game player in Laval. He just brings it. He goes out there, he plays
Yeah.
straight line hockey, he does what he needs to do. It's not pretty, plays the body, and I think that he'll end up finding either he'll find an NHL team. Will he make that team? Who knows, depending on the team that signs him. But I can see I think he's probably played his way out, but I would not mind seeing them bring him back, kind of like what they did with Alex Belzil, and
Yeah.
and play him in that sort of role. But we'll see what happens moving forward. But I think he's probably on his way out, unfortunately.
Yeah. I think so too. I mean, he brought a lot to Laval. Even though their playoffs ended quite early,
Yep.
he wasn't the reason why. He
No.
brought it in their entire playoff series. Um, so yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see him go somewhere more advantageous to himself. I think the Canadiens are going to let a couple of RFAs go. Like William Trudeau is probably going to be gone, so he can find himself an NHL opportunity somewhere because
He's always
I
just
don't
been
think
a
he's going to get in
sneaky,
Montreal.
but he's just always been a sneaky good pick. You know what I mean? Like he's
He's a
I,
solid
I
defenseman.
he's a solid defenseman. Yeah, like he's he's not one of those flashy guys, but he's just always kind of seems to be there.
Yeah. Um, and I mean, if this was 2 to 3 years ago,
Yeah,
he'd be
yeah,
playing in the NHL right now. He could
yeah,
play in the NHL right now for a lot of teams. I'm
right.
not saying he's a top pair guy, but he can
Yeah,
fill a third pairing role quite
yeah,
easily in the
yeah,
NHL for several teams. So I
right.
think he's going to get a chance somewhere else.
But with Engstrom, Reinbacher, Pickford,
Yeah,
Owen Protz,
yeah,
etc.,
exactly.
it's you gotta make the room, unfortunately.
Well, you got all these guys coming in, right? So all these new
Yeah,
guys coming in, Pickford, Protz. I
yeah,
mean, right there, you have to make room in the AHL.
yeah,
Sorry,
yeah,
he's had his chance. He just didn't quite crack the lineup, but he deserves a shot somewhere else. So trade him
yeah,
somewhere for whatever.
yeah,
Delgazio is another guy who they might keep, but on an AHL deal. But that's we're in the weeds now.
yeah, yeah.
There's some bigger names. I'm going to start in goal with Montembeault. I think that it's very likely that they trade him somewhere.
Okay.
Very likely.
Yeah, I'd say so. He when he's on, he's on. It's just that he's just played out his I'm gonna say he's played out his welcome, but he's just with Dobesh doing what he did in the playoffs and with Fowler coming up and likely being the next number one in Montreal at some point, it's just he's played his way out.
Yeah.
And I think that this year what happened is the thought that he could be on the Olympic roster got to his head. I think that start the to get that contract extension, start getting some commercials and some media coverage and all this kind of stuff. I think that got to his head, and he just never rebounded from a really bad start. And I think that if the Canadians would have realized this sooner, that his game was struggling and everything. And like I give it to them for trying to help this guy out and to try to bring him along. But the way that they did it, I didn't agree with it based on the fact that they cooled off a hot goalie in Dobesh at the start of the year to make it happen. And then we saw the fluctuation of the up and down play of the goaltenders, and then having to bring in Fowler and say, okay, guys, if you guys don't get your shit together, this guy's taking your job. And that happened more than once to the point where somebody did lose their job and Fowler stayed. And now Montembeault has likely lost his job to two rookies.
Yeah, I mean, you're looking at Dobesh and Fowler in the same way that if you look back at 2010, you had Halak and Price. It's kind of the same feel there. You have the slightly older, young goaltender that's playing extremely well and taking the lead, and then you have that younger, more highly touted goaltender on the bench, kind of learning. Same
Yep.
feel.
Yep.
And then you have Montembeault sitting on the outside, and you look at the last 3 seasons before this, he was over 900 save percentage.
Hmm.
Then this season, it was like an 870. It's a
Right.
massive dip. And he only
Yep.
played like 25 games and he had a losing record
He did. Yep.
for a winning team. That's
Mm.
it's hard to do. So he struggled mightily. Some of it was his fault, some of it was the situation. Um, but at the end of the day, results are what mattered, and they went with the young guys, and he's kind of been pushed out. So
He has. He has. And
there's
there's
some
teams that
teams
are
out
out
there that
there
could
that are
use
going
a
to need
backup.
it. Yeah.
Montreal's not going to get much for him. If they get more than a sixth round pick, I'd be surprised.
Right.
Montreal
But
might have to take a contract back
he's making 3.1. It's not like he's making 9 million. You know what I mean? So
for
it's
one
not
more year.
like, yeah. So it's not like it's,
Yeah.
and he's a UFA after that, right? So it's not like teams have to break the bank to get him or anything. It's
No, no.
just his play. But you look at some of the teams in the league. Look at Edmonton. Look what they've done with goaltenders over the last little while.
Yeah,
And it
exactly.
seems that every time they try to throw a bandage on it, it doesn't work out. So I could see that as maybe a team that could reach out.
And who did they have as their backup this year?
They had Jari. Well, they had Jari, and they traded Skinner for Jari, and then they brought in that fella that got out of the rehab program or the recovery program, Connor Ingram,
Ingram. Okay.
right?
So, I mean, would he be an upgrade on Ingram? Yes,
Yeah,
I think so. And Ingram, I think, he's a free agent anyway, so they could just bring in uh Montembeault, and there you go. Like this is a guy who played 60 some odd games last year.
yep,
He can play 40.
yep,
He
yep,
had a down year this year. He'll bounce back. He's not. I don't think he's a like a true starter. He's more of a 1B,
yeah,
which is ideal for Jerry, who's more of a 1A.
yeah, yeah.
So there you go. There's places for Montembeault to go to.
There is. I'll throw. I mean, before we get into another big name, I'll throw out a
Yep.
couple small ones quick. Alex Tuck, or no, Alex Tuck, Luke Tuck. Sorry,
Mm-hmm. You think he's gone?
it's an RFA.
You don't think they'll keep him?
I think they would
I think
like
they'll keep
to.
him.
I think they would like to just based on the size.
I think they keep him because they need guys in Laval. He's not quite
Yep.
NHL ready yet. He I think he will pass waivers because he's not waiver exempt anymore. Um,
Okay.
I don't think anyone would pick him up. There's a possibility that it would happen, but I would take that chance just so you can have someone in Laval.
Okay.
Um,
Sean Farrell.
Farrell, they need scoring in Laval,
Hmm.
so I can see them signing him to an AHL deal.
Okay. Jared Davidson, who I liked. I thought he did well when he was with the Canadiens too.
I think they'll sign him to another two-way deal just
Okay.
because they can use him as a call-up.
Okay.
And
And
again,
last
Laval
one.
needs guys.
Yeah, last one, Joshua Roy.
Oh, he's gone.
Yeah,
He wants an NHL shot, and he's not going to get it in Montreal.
right.
And with Rohrer coming in, I don't think it's that big of a loss to lose Roy in Laval
Okay.
because I think Rohrer can provide some of that offense. Um, and I think Meshar, as difficult of a time that he's had, he is a guy that takes a long time to settle into a level. And I think this coming season, we'll see him finally become a top six AHL level player. Will he become an NHL player? I don't know. He might get a call up. I
Right.
just think he is going to have himself his best pro season,
Yeah. You like to see it at
which
least.
will help Laval.
Yeah.
Which takes us to one huge name,
Yeah.
uh, Gallagher.
Oh, there's somebody else before that.
Doc.
Kirby Doc. Yeah. I go to Kirby Doc just based on the fact just contract related. That's why.
I think he's going to stay. I don't
You
think they're
think
going to
so?
get him at four. I don't think they're going to give him a qualifying offer of $4 million,
No.
but I can see them signing him for another 1 year deal. Let's say about two and a half.
I don't know.
He played fairly well in the first two rounds. He looked like shit in the third round, but so did everybody else.
But is he a bottom six center or is he a bottom six winger?
Definitely bottom six.
Is he a center or a winger?
He could play center as long as he's not taking faceoffs. So let someone else take the face off and he can jump in.
So what does that do for Evans and Deneau, who are your matchup shutdown type guys?
You can move Doc to the wing. I don't think that's a big
Or do you
problem.
or do you move another one of those guys to the wing and make like a shutdown line? Have like
Evan
Evans,
Steno and somebody
Evans,
else,
Deneau, and Anderson or something,
that could work,
right?
especially if you need to make some room for another guy like, say, Beck or whoever you trade for to be a second line center.
Yeah, you still got Kapanen in there
Just that I
too,
think I think Doc brings enough for a bottom six because he's got the size and the reach,
right?
and he's been hurt so often he hasn't really hit his stride. I
Yeah,
think they're going to give him 1 more year.
yeah. But you're trying to push some of these guys out of top six roles because
Yeah.
ideally right now your top six is Suzuki Caulfield, Slavkovsky,
Mm-hmm.
Demidov,
100%.
new center, and then maybe another winger. If not, that other winger at this point is either going to be Texier, Bolduc, or Doc,
New hook.
right? So if you have Newhook there as a winger with Demidov, new center, that's your top six. But then you've got your bottom six. You still have four centers to play two holes
Mm-hmm.
because you're going to have, and then you've got guys like you've got guys that are trying to make that jump, but you've got Bolduc, Doc, Volano. We haven't talked about him. He's
I
another
think
one of those guys. He's probably on his way out, but he's another guy that can play that 13th, right? But you've
yeah.
got but you've got Bolduc, Doc, Kapanen, Texier, Evans, Deneau, Anderson, and then we get into Gallagher as well, all playing for six spots. And
Yeah.
that's not even talking about Beck and Jackeye and Rohrer and any of these other guys that are trying to jump in and crack this lineup.
Well, I know Roar's made the jump to the North America. I don't think he's going to be able to crack the lineup. He's not next year anyway. So, and Florian Jackeye, he's going to push, but they're probably going to give him another year in the minors. So that you're looking at Dano, Evans, Texier, Bolduc, Anderson, Kapanen, Beck.
Right.
But I do think they give Doc another shot on a cheaper 1 year deal. And Valeno, well, I mean, they can. He can come or go. Doc could be your 13th guy. He can be the whatever. It just means the team's improving.
Yeah.
Uh, and Texier can come in out of the lineup as well. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
So it gives options on the bottom six. I would rather have three or four guys who can play center than only one, maybe
Yeah.
two.
Yeah.
You've
Well,
got that
some of the guys they
availability.
have can play that multi role, right? So
Yeah.
Kapanen can play both, even though he's better at center. Evans can
Hmm.
play both, even though he's better at center. Doc can
Yeah,
play both,
exactly.
even though he's better on the wing, right? So
Yeah. Yeah. And so the bottom six is pretty much the Canadians have everything they need on hand and in their
yep,
system to improve at the bottom six, bringing in some size, some speed, and a little bit of grit. They can find it
yep,
in house. That I'm
yep,
not worried about. The one thing that I am worried about is losing Gallagher. I
yeah.
As much as I hate to see him go, I expect to see him go.
I tend to agree. He has played his heart out in the seasons that he's played with the Canadians.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the team right now with the speed they play with and the guys that are trying to take his job. We saw it in the playoffs and it happened. The
Yeah,
the coach and the coaching staff trusted other players over him. And I think that not playing him in that elimination game when they could have made changes to the lineup, I think it really spoke to say that he's probably on his way out. He still played 77 games this year, but he put out in the last few years, he's been healthy. He's played 77, 82, and 77 games, but 31 points with 16 goals, 38 points with 21 goals, which good on him. Good, good. That's not terrible for a bottom six player. But this year in 77, he only had 7 goals, 23
23
points.
points. Yeah.
I
So
love what he
he's
brings to the team. I love what he brings to the city. I love what he brings to to the jersey. He is a Canadian through and through. But
yeah,
looking at the buildup of this lineup, who's coming in and what they want to build, is there a spot for him? Is there a
I
spot to
don't
have
don't
him?
think so.
Is there a spot to have him in the lineup every day? Is there a spot to have him in the lineup 77, 77 of the 82 or 84 games going into next year?
So the direction this team is taking, I would say no. You look back, like last year, he played the full 82. He had over 20 goals. He
Yep.
played a key role in a bottom six on the third line,
Hmm.
leadership, the whole thing, right? But that was on a team that was considered still rebuilding and not quite playoff ready.
Yep.
I think if there's a team out there that fits that kind of bill, he's a better fit there because they'll be able to still play that third line role with younger, more talented players that he can help mentor and guide. So teams like Seattle, they could use him. Vancouver, they
Yeah.
desperately need somebody to come in and fix the culture there. Who better,
Yeah. And
right?
he played for the Giants too. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So Seattle, Vancouver, that's Pacific Northwest.
Yeah.
I think that would work well for what he can bring to the league now.
Hmm.
Um, the problem is the 6.5 million.
Yes. Cap's going up, but money's going to be spent elsewhere and it's already starting to get spent. Yeah.
So what is Hughes willing to do to give Gallagher that opportunity? Because I don't think he's going to be having much of an opportunity in Montreal anymore, even though he bleeds bleu, blanc, rouge.
Oh, 100%. He really does. Yep. He really,
Or
really does.
if he just decided this summer to say, screw it, I retire as a Hab, I think he would have a permanent job in Montreal.
I can see him as like a player development person, or even
Yeah,
or even like assistant to the GM or something like that,
Yeah,
right?
I think he's got
He,
options on that end, but if he's going to continue playing, I sadly I don't expect it in Montreal.
okay. Yeah, I'd probably agree with you, to be honest. It's sad to say. I've been a fan of his for years, but it looks like he's probably probably played his last game, unfortunately.
Yeah. Um, it's kind of sad to talk about that now after the Canadiens get eliminated from the playoffs
Yeah,
or
yeah.
they made the Eastern
But we
Conference
gotta be
final. But
but we gotta be realistic. And
yeah,
if we always just said, well, I want to keep this guy because he's my favorite. I want to pick this guy because I like him or the fans like him or whatever. Teams don't build up to the level that you need them to build,
yeah,
right?
yeah, and then we're not being honest. We're not being
Yeah,
unfiltered. We're just being fanboys on HF boards,
yeah, yeah.
and we can't
There's
we
there
can't do that. We have
again like there's
yeah,
two of my favorite players left in the same year, and that was Shea Weber and Carey Price. Obviously, they're leaving. They left for different reasons. There were medical reasons, but you lost your captain, your top line defenseman, and your franchise goaltender at the same time after a run to the finals. Like, if that's not a kick in the nuts, I don't know what is. And, to lose a heart and soul player or to likely lose a heart and soul player, it's the same thing. It's still a kick in the nuts. And his presence
agreed.
will be missed for sure if they deem that he's on his way out. But it kind of seems like the writing's on the wall.
It does. And
But
and the sad thing is,
but I can see them doing him a solid and trying to facilitate a where he wants to go type deal.
yeah, something that fits him that will help him.
Yeah.
Um, and the sad thing is the Canadians, I think, have a Stanley Cup contending core,
Hmm.
but they need some grit and they need some experience to go with them.
Yeah.
And Gallagher has that, but he's got too much. He's got
Yeah.
too many miles on his body. He's
Yeah. He
slowed
doesn't
down a little
have
bit too
yeah,
much.
he doesn't have the finish that he used to have. He doesn't have
No,
this,
no.
he never was a speedy
And he's
player, but
and he's been surpassed in the depth chart, which is why I
he
think
has.
a young rebuilding team is an ideal place for him to go, or a team that needs to build a new identity.
Yeah.
He's the kind of guy you want.
Yeah.
So
In a perfect world, a guy like Newhook moves into the role that he had.
on the
A guy
third
that
line
can,
kind of deal. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. A guy that can play multi-role up and down the lineup, still put the puck in the net. And we saw when Newhook was healthy that he could do that. He goes to the gritty areas.
Mhm.
He goes to the net. He goes to the, he plays well on the boards, etc. I could see him being that kind of player. Maybe not being a 30 goal scorer like Gallagher was. Excuse me.
Yeah,
But
yeah, I can see that.
I could see him being that, and then that would take him out of the top six to play, in my opinion, a better role for him. And then you rebuild the second line around Demidov, bringing in another center, and then whoever this winger is, and maybe like a Jared McCann or something like that, who's got a year left on his deal, right? Something like that,
Something. They'd
right?
have to take something back.
Yeah, yeah, but to or to bring in, if you wanted to bring in some size, maybe a Mason Marchman or something like that. I'm kind of spitballing here, but I think that unfortunately he's played his last game. But there's players that can still move into that can kind of move into that role that he's going to leave behind.
Yeah, yeah. Montreal still needs something like that, but they need somebody who can keep up with what they have.
Yes.
All right. That's pretty much everything. It's been a fairly long show compared to the ones we've had in the last few weeks.
Hmm.
But the good news is we have done weekly shows.
We have. It's been a while since we've been able to do that, and there's things to look forward to now. The draft's coming up. Um, Always something that we look forward to. Always something that we we're able to get a lot of really great people on here and have some really good discussions about. Obviously, it's going to be a different season this year when we're talking about picking where the Canadians are going to be making their selection as opposed to who should they pick in the top five, right? So it's
Yeah.
right, right. So we're gonna bring in some different people and bring in some good hockey minds and everything to have some really good discussions, and I'm already looking forward to the next season. I look at this team as one that's growing, and I believe that Hughes and Gorton are going to have full cooperation from management and ownership to go out and make this team the best team that it can be. This is for in my opinion, this is just a glimpse of what this team could be, and the youngest team in the league to go to the Eastern Conference Final, the way it finished or not, they can hold their heads high, and they got a lot to look. We got a lot to look forward to as fans.
Yeah, I have to agree. I mean, anybody who's saying that the Canadians were frauds, that they shouldn't have been where they're at, ignore them. They're just pathetic haters that want to ruin whatever it is that you saw. The Canadians had themselves a great season, and the loss in the Eastern Conference Final absolutely sucked. They, they did not play well. They got exposed by a much more veteran, experienced team has been at that point now for 8 years, and took them that long to break through. So don't feel bad that you lost in the Eastern Conference Final 4 years into a rebuild.
Right.
Changes are going to be made. The road next year is going to be just as hard, but it'll be just as entertaining because this team will be improved as well. So enjoy the off season. Look forward to next year. The Canadians have themselves something here. I have not been this impressed by a Canadians team in a long time.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to this summer first and foremost, and then next season for sure. So, did you have any other final thoughts or?
I'll just say two pieces, one on a personal side, one on a Canadian side. So I'll say rest in peace to Claude Lemieux. Um, the reports are saying that he took his own life. So again, we've dealt with both we've both dealt with that over the years and everything, and in different ways. Just know that the help is out there, and the support's there if you require it. Don't suffer in silence. And the other one, on a personal note, friend of the family passed away. John Young passed away last night at midnight. Had a stroke, unfortunately. Wasn't able to make it. So I'll dedicate the show to him and to his family. And yeah, I'm looking forward to getting home and seeing the family and showing my support and everything. But big loss for that family. So I'll dedicate this one to John.
Um, Hard to follow that up, but I'm going to just kind of add on and say if you are dealing with something or you think someone is, um, 988 is the number to call. It's a suicide crisis helpline. It'll provide you someone to talk to if you need to talk to them. And, you know, you don't know when the last day is going to be. So enjoy each one, spend time with your family, tell them how you feel, tell your family you love them every day. And, I mean, that's what matters. Family, friends, that matters far more than, you know, what team won a playoff game or any of that crap. So yeah, by all means, um, take care of yourselves, take care of each other. For those who have been with us for this long and keep listening and watching, thank you very much. We really, really do appreciate you guys, especially the interactions we've had. The community that's been built here has been amazing. Uh, I just want to say thank you for that. And remember, if you're talking about it, so are we.